I will be talking about the morphology of the Spanish language. Morphemes in Spanish are very inflectional, there are a lot of them, and what this means is that for verbs, those verbs can have different suffixes based on the noun that they are referring to, and these changes happen because it has to fit with the grammatical function of that noun. There are some derivational morphemes. An example of that would be ito and ita, and this changes the meaning of the word, which is why it's derivational to mean little. Spanish does have gender, so generally feminine words or nouns will end in an A, while masculine words or nouns will end in an O, an E, or a consonant. And there are some irregular nouns that do not follow this rule, so it is important to look out for those as well. Some examples of this would be libro, mercado, trabajo, and all these are masculine because, as you can see, they end in an O. Cena, puerta, and mesa all end in an A, so those would be feminine. And some irregular ones are right here. And la foto and la mano, they both end in an O, so we would be led to believe that they would be masculine, however they are feminine. When it comes to words like abuelo to mean grandfather, it can be changed to abuela to mean grandmother. So those are also ones to look out for as well. And this is different than English because we don't have roots that involve gender. For example, like book, we can just say the book. Where in Spanish, we have to pay attention to the ending where we would have to say el libro to agree with the ending of that word. Suffixes are also a very important part of the Spanish language, so some common suffixes used in Spanish would be, as I said before, ito and ita to mean small. So if we were to use those in a word, if we had hermano to mean brother and we added ito at the end to mean, for hermanito to mean little brother, as you can see, those change from brother to little brother, which is why it is derivational. And so that'd be the same for hermana and adding ita at the end, hermanita to mean little sister. So sister to little sister, it's also changing the meaning. And as you can see here, the gender also plays a role in this. And this is different than the English language because our adjectives generally go before the word or noun that it is describing, and in Spanish it goes after, or it can be attached to the word, as we saw here. To make things plural, they, such as just as English does, add s or es to the ends of the words. So s would go when there ends in a vowel, and es would go when the word ends in a consonant. And English does that in similar ways. Verbs are also suffixes, contain suffixes because they change based on the noun that they're talking about. So here are some irregular ones: car, gar, and zar, which would be changed to k, gay, and say in the yo form. Here's the rest of the verb inflections that occur in Spanish, and this is a very important part of Spanish language. There are generally 3 different endings that will be used depending on how the verb ends. So we have AR, ER, and IR verbs. AR will be changed to O, os, a, almost on. ER will be changed to O, ace, a, amos, n, and IR will be changed to O, ace, a, emos, n. And it all corresponds with this table over here. So the first box would be the I box, second box would be you box, third box would be he, she, or you formal, the fourth box would be the we box, and the fifth box would be they or you all. Just looking at these tables, it shows just how inflectional the language of Spanish is. These are just the present tense changes that occur with every verb, but there are different suffixes that we use when we are talking about past, present, or future, or subjunctive, or imperfect. When making these changes, it's also possible to change the form of the pre-existing word. So an example of this would be like pensar. We would change it to pienso, piensas, piensa, pensemos, where, as you can see there, we did not add the I, and piensan, and the I may be an infix in this instance. So it's important to watch for how the verb ends because that will determine the tense you're talking in and in what person, so first, second, or third. And that's something that English does not have. We don't have to really differentiate between first, second, and third. We just make a difference between third person and non-third person. So an example of this would be yo cocino, tu cocinas, ella cocina, nosotros cocinamos, and ellos cocinan. And as you can see in there, every ending of cocinar had a different way of doing it. So in English, we would just say I cook, you cook, we cook, or she cooks. And the only difference in that would be in the third person, we'd add the S. In English, we have suffixes such as ed to show past tense, and so we could say I shopped, you shopped, or etc. But in Spanish, you must change the ending to fit the tense and what first, second, or third person you're talking about. So that's also important to look for. Spanish verb inflections are a very important part of this language and one of the most interesting parts of its morphology. So here are some discussion questions that you guys can discuss about in the discussion. What type of morphemes does the Spanish language use a majority of the time? Do the endings of noun have genders that are important to the rest of the sentence? And what are some major differences between the morphology of Spanish and English?